The late autumn in New York always carries a biting chill, much like the temperature in my heart as I stand before the floor-to-ceiling windows of my Manhattan apartment, watching the bustling crowds below. My name is Isabella, I'm 34, a senior tax accountant, and I've worked for 10 years at a top accounting firm in the city center. Evan and I have been married for 7 years. He's the marketing director of a tech startup, and we have a 5-year-old daughter, Leah. To outsiders, we're a typical happy middle-class family. A house, a car, stable careers, and a lovely daughter. Only I know that this happiness is already riddled with cracks. For the past 6 months, Evan has been coming home very late, always citing reasons like accompanying clients or attending international meetings. He occasionally carries a scent of perfume that isn't mine, his phone is always on silent, and he even takes it into the bathroom when he showers. At first, I told myself that starting a business is tough and I should be more understanding. But 3 months ago, I found a receipt from a high-end jewelry store in the inside pocket of his suit jacket, a receipt for a strange woman, dated our 7th wedding anniversary. On that day, he only gave me a discounted bouquet of roses, saying the company was short of funds. As a tax accountant, I was used to being calm and meticulous, always seeking solid evidence before making any decisions. I quietly photocopied the receipt and then continued playing the role of the virtuous wife, cooking meals on time every day, taking Leah to school, and even handing him a glass of warm milk when he came home late, listening to his fabricated lies. I knew Evan's company was currently seeking funding, and I owned an apartment inherited from my parents before our marriage, as well as a considerable amount of savings, my hard-earned money from years of struggle which he had always coveted. I began to act secretly. First, I contacted my lawyer friend Sophia to arrange for marital asset preservation, completely separating my premarital assets from my postmarital personal income. The truth was far worse than I had imagined. The woman's name was Olivia, an intern at Evan's company 10 years younger than him. Not only that, Evan's parents knew everything and even covered for him. Once I made an excuse to visit my parents and deliberately returned home early. I overheard Evan's mother on the phone telling him, "You must get Isabella's money. Olivia is pregnant with your child. You have to give her an explanation. Once you have the money, divorce Isabella. Leave Leah to her. We'll raise Olivia and her unborn grandchild." I stood outside the door, ice cold, but didn't go in. I took out my phone, recorded the conversation, and then left silently. At that moment, the last shred of attachment I had for this marriage vanished completely. I wasn't just thinking about myself anymore. I was doing it for Leah. I couldn't let my daughter grow up in a family full of lies and betrayal, and I couldn't let Evan and his family take everything I'd worked so hard for. Evan seemed to have sensed something was amiss, and lately he'd been unusually attentive to me, even offering to invite both our families and friends to our 7th wedding anniversary celebration as a way of making up for me. I sneered inwardly. I knew he was trying to play the role of a devoted husband in front of our friends and family, to lull me into a false sense of security and to pave the way for a divorce and property division later on. He still thought I was the same naive, vulnerable woman. I pretended to be flattered and readily agreed, even helping him find a venue and invite friends and family, appearing basking in happiness. Secretly, however, I was busy preparing, gathering all the evidence I could use to expose some intimate photos of him and Olivia. Hotel check-in records, bank transfer records, a recording of him conspiring with his parents to steal my money, Olivia's pregnancy test results, and evidence that Evan had misappropriated company funds to buy luxury goods and pay rent for Olivia. The celebration was held in the banquet hall of a high-end restaurant in Manhattan. Dozens of friends and family members attended, including my colleagues and friends, as well as Evan's family and business partners. Evan, dressed in a custom-made suit, stood on the stage, holding my hand, and passionately recounted our 7 sweet years. He even pulled out a jewelry box, saying it was a belated anniversary gift for me, drawing envious applause from the audience. His mother sat in the audience, watching me smugly, her eyes full of calculation. Olivia, surprisingly, was also there, wearing a white dress, sitting next to Evan's cousin, pretending to be a friend, but glancing at Evan every now and then, her eyes brimming with undisguised ambiguity. After Evan finished speaking, he picked up the microphone, looked at me, and said gently, "Isabella, I'm sorry I couldn't be with you properly on our 7th anniversary. I hope this gift can make up for my regret. For the rest of my life, I will always be with you and Leah, loving you both dearly." A burst of enthusiastic applause erupted from the audience. I smiled and walked onto the stage, taking the microphone, my face expressionless. My tone as calm as if I were telling someone else's story. Thank you for your affection, Evan. However, before accepting this gift, I want to show everyone something. I believe that after seeing it, then everyone will know just how heavy Evan's love truly is. Evan's face instantly changed, a flicker of panic crossing his eyes. He tugged at my sleeve and whispered, "Isabella, stop it. Let's talk about it at home." I shook off his hand and said to the audience, "No, something should be clarified in front of everyone, lest someone be kept in the dark and think they've found a devoted husband and a good son." I gestured to the restaurant staff I had contacted beforehand to turn on the large screen in the banquet hall. The first thing that appeared was an intimate photo of Evan and Olivia at the hotel entrance, followed by CCTV footage of them entering the apartment together. The footage was clear, the dates precise, it was exactly the nights Evan had said he was accompanying clients. The audience fell silent instantly, murmurs rising and falling. Evan's face turned deathly pale. He tried to turn off the screen, but I stopped him. "Don't rush, there's more to come," I said with a smile, pressing play. Next, a recording of Evan's phone call with his mother played. His mother's words, "Once I get Isabella's money, I'll divorce her and support Olivia and our grandson," echoed clearly throughout the banquet hall. Evan's mother jumped to her feet, screaming, "You forged this. Isabella, you vicious woman, you framed us." I ignored her and continued playing the evidence transfer records from Evan to Olivia, ranging from several thousand to tens of thousands, including a transfer of $500,000 with a note down payment for a house. That money was the investment funds I had recently given to Evan to manage. There was also evidence of Evan embezzling company funds and Olivia's pregnancy test results. Olivia turned pale and tried to run away, but my friend stopped her. Evan stared at everything on the big screen, trembling uncontrollably, unable to utter a single word. His business partners also looked grim, discussing reconsidering their partnership with his company. I picked up the microphone, my tone still calm, yet carrying an undeniable force. "Evan, let's get a divorce. This is the divorce agreement, which I've already signed. It clearly states that I will have custody of Leah, and you will pay child support monthly until she reaches adulthood. You committed adultery, maliciously transferred marital property, and conspired with your family to steal my premarital assets, so you will leave with nothing. Regarding your embezzlement of company funds, I have compiled evidence and submitted it to your company and the police." I placed the divorce agreement on the table and produced a police case filing receipt. "Furthermore, you and your mother conspired to defraud me of my assets. And Olivia, you knew Evan was married but still stayed with him, even accepting property he purchased with illegally obtained funds. We'll see you in court." Evan slumped onto the table. His mother sat on the floor, wailing and cursing, but her previous arrogance was gone. Olivia, pointed at and whispered by relatives and friends, was pale and utterly disheveled. Those relatives and friends who had previously envied our marriage now looked at Evan's family with disdain and disgust. Even the peacemakers who had spoken up for Evan earlier fell silent. I didn't look at them again. I turned and walked off the stage, picked up Leah, whom I had already arranged to stay in the next room, and, accompanied by friends, left the banquet hall. The wind outside was still cold, but it couldn't dispel the relief in my heart. At that moment, I had finally escaped that marriage filled with lies and betrayal, escaped the scheming of Evan's family. What happened afterward went even more smoothly than I had expected. Evan was fired from his company for embezzling company funds and faced legal consequences. His company's financing failed completely, and it quickly went bankrupt. He and his mother were sued for conspiring to defraud me of my assets. Not only did they not receive a penny, but they also incurred huge debts. Olivia was also implicated for receiving stolen goods. She ultimately lost her baby, and Evan completely abandoned her, leaving her a lonely figure abandoned by everyone. After my divorce, I focused on my work and, thanks to my professional skills, quickly rose to the position of partner in the firm. Doubling my income, I moved with Leah to my premarital apartment, decorating it warmly and comfortably. Every day when I came home from get off work, I was greeted by Leah's radiant smile. I used to think marriage was a lifelong guarantee that sincere devotion would be reciprocated. It wasn't until I experienced betrayal that I realized a woman's most reliable asset is never marriage nor a man but herself. What doesn't kill us makes us stronger. Now I no longer waste my energy on unworthy people. No longer compromise myself. I have a career, a daughter, friends, and the ability to protect myself and those I love. Standing by the floor-to-ceiling window of my office, looking down at the bustling city of New York, the sunlight bathing me, warm and empowering, I finally understand that loving yourself is the beginning of a lifelong romance, and only by letting go of a wrong relationship can you meet a better version of yourself. And I've become my own light.